Welcome to the Rachele and Cassandra show. Before we begin, our disclaimer. Hey, don't forget, Rachele and Cassandra are not attorneys or financial advisors. Sometimes what they say may sound like legal or financial advice, but it's not.
Hello, everybody.
Hi,
Rachel
good to be
Evers here. Hi.
It's gonna be one of
We are
those
here
days. We're gonna
Yes.
talk over each other today.
Constantly.
It'll be wonderful for you.
Cadence problems. Yes. It's always a rocky start, right? So I always want to tell people that we're here just trying to elevate our industry and sharing information so that you do not have the steep learning curve that we had to get where we are, right?
Yeah.
Always trying to help, though sometimes it sounds like we might be grouchy about it. And I have to get two things out of the way that have nothing to do with real estate.
Ooh.
Actually, it just turned into three things. So thing one, I don't even know if I should talk about this, but I use this tinted moisturizer. Remember last week when I was talking about how my face is a different color than my neck?
Yes.
It still is. And I put the tinted moisturizer on my face and my neck. So it's got to be just because my face is closer to the ring light. I don't know. And this outfit that I'm wearing looked way better in person. It looks way better in real life, but it looks really dumpy on screen. So I think I'm going to have to, I don't know, find myself a stylist or something.
So
And then the
I'm
third
wearing
thing.
this- Oh, go ahead. I was
just-
just let me reply. I have this
Yeah.
amazing blue sweater on today that looks fantastic on the rack. It's got these chunky kind of bubbles
It's
here
adorable.
on the sleeve, and it's adorable, right?
It
and
is.
then I'm standing up.
It's cropped.
It's like it's got this weird crop to it. So here, I'll take this off because it's ruining
It's like
it,
a
but-
manufactured muffin top.
Hi,
in case
could I
you
be
can't grow your
dumpier?
own.
Yes. If I had a muffin top, it would cover it because it's shaped like a giant mushroom bulbous bottom. It's horrible.
It could be like the new style. Like you want trying to grow a muffin top and having no success.
Right. This shirt
Be
gives you
stylish.
the room and freeness to look like a big puffy garbage can. Yeah.
Have the look without all the work.
Oh, that's awful.
Okay, so the third thing was at the beginning of this episode, so we have to wait for them to like prep and get the shit ready, and then they give us a countdown and tell us to go. And it's usually Cassandra and I catch up and visit during that time. And this time I just I was studiously ignoring her so we could do all this shit. Like, I don't know, invite you guys into some of the more fun parts of our relationship.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
we did get to chat for a second, and we talked about
Yes.
going to this maximalist hotel in Washington, D.C. where you
Yes.
can buy everything and it's full
Yes.
of weird stuff. And Rachel's side mentions, oh, I spent 2 hours waiting to see the ruby slippers
Yes.
from
The Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz.
At the Smithsonian. It was
I didn't
wonderful.
know they were at the Smithsonian.
It was a tour. It was like they were on tour, and I took my kids there. And Wizard of Oz is the best movie in the world ever. Period.
Who's your
In
favorite
case you
character,
didn't
Rachel?
know, the Wicked Witch. My whole life, always been the case. Anyway, that is going to make a really awkward and bumpy segue into our conversation today, which is insurance. Wah wah wah.
Yay. Everybody loves insurance.
Fucking hate insurance. It's infuriating. Just the whole concept feels like a scam. But we need it. It's like, what? Is it like death and taxes?
No, because if you
What is
own
it?
your house outright, you don't need insurance. You don't have to insure your health either. You could pay for that free cash.
That's true. And I did that for a lot of years. Oh, that's another rabbit trail we could go down because I had a doctor's appointment the other day and I've been a cash pay medical patient for so long. I had to have this really frustrating conversation about billing and nobody knows how much anything costs. Anyway,
No.
but when
They
it
put
comes
the
to your
code
home
in.
insurance, when it comes to your home insurance,
Nice segue. What
Yes.
a nice one.
if you are getting a mortgage, you have to have it. You can't not have it. And it is like the secret motherfucker that can, not devastate your closing, but what's the word? It's like the princess and the pea. It's the pea under all the mattresses. Like you're not going to get that closing until you solve that insurance problem. And it sneaks up on you because who would think that this is a problem?
Yeah, I see it as a problem a lot. I don't want to, and I try to get ahead of it, but it's so low on buyers' radars of importance, right? They're very focused on pay stubs and W-2s and the home inspection and the appraisal. And they're so focused on all of these things that when, I remind them, hey, have you picked a homeowner's insurance agent? I think some people think I pick it. Like I pick it's required, but I don't pick it.
Well, and let's just set the stage for anybody who's never bought a house before, or if you're a new real estate agent and don't know to talk about this with your clients. At the time of closing with a mortgage, the property must be insured because the lender's interest in the property has to be insured against a catastrophic loss. If you imagine you close and the house burns down an hour after closing, the lender needs to be made whole.
Yes.
So part of the coordinating for closing, there's all kinds of things that have to line up. And one of those is your homeowner's insurance. So why is that such a problem, Cassandra? What possibly could be difficult about that?
Well, so I will say the major item, and if people aren't picking it, or finally when they do pick it, I think they think that by osmosis, I'll just know. But very briefly, the buyer has to pick the homeowner's insurance. The agent, right, the level of coverage, there are minimums, but they pick if they want any riders for jewelry or furs or something over and above, right?
Cash, firearms.
And they can literally just tell their loan officer, hey, I'm working with Susie insurance agent over on Main Street. And I'll go, okay, awesome. And I'll reach out to Susie and give her the info she needs from me. She needs the mortgagee clause, and she needs to know if it's escrowed, right? And the loan number. And the mortgagee clause is the name of the mortgage company and the lost payee. So say the house does burn down, the check is written out to the lost payee, which is the mortgage insurance company, in addition to the borrower. So it's basically a two-party check.
I have a question.
Sure.
The mortgage insurance company?
No, the mortgage
Is it mortgage?
company.
Okay. I'm just, because you did say mortgage insurance and I was making sure it wasn't a
Sorry. No,
truth. It was a slip.
Insurance would pay out to the mortgage company and to the buyer of the home.
Got it.
If in the event of a total loss. So the insurance company has to say that, right? It has to say, it has to list who the mortgage company is on the insurance document. And it has to have the loan number. So there's some stuff. So they need info from me. If you've picked your insurance agent, they need info from the lender, and the lender needs documents from the insurance company.
And there are some very obvious rabbit trails that might be worth going down. Sometimes your insurance agent needs information about the house. And like I've had weird questions like, can you have the seller, I'm representing the buyer, right? That buyer's getting insurance, the insurance agent weirdly never just reaches out to me, who can give all the answers and send them the listing that has the information they need. They go to their client and say, well, what's the square footage of the deck? My client doesn't know. They were at the house twice.
They don't own the house.
Right. So then we got to go. I got to contact. They ask me. I ask the other agent. The other agent asks their client. Their client goes and measures it. It's like super weird because they're just going to send a guy out to look at it with their eyeballs anyway, in many cases.
So sometimes they will request
pictures of certain areas.
They'll request pictures. Sometimes insurance companies will request the appraisal. Sometimes insurance companies will request the seller's disclosures.
They want the appraisal.
It has loads of information on how old things are and photos of everything.
Really? And this is, and insurance is one of those things, kind of like mortgages, that I think that it's been around so long and it's such an integrated part of the fabric of our lives that we don't realize that you just aren't entitled to it. Like
the
an
property
insurance
isn't
company,
entitled to it.
They're looking at you as a liability and they're looking at the property and its condition and deciding if they want to risk insuring it. Like there's actuarial data behind all of these decisions. So you jump through all these hoops and your insurance guy says, okay, we'll insure that property. What? No, she's saying, no, that's not how it goes. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I know what part you're getting to. You're getting to my most annoying part of the whole thing.
Yes.
Well, and it's
So, and the weird thing is I've had conversations with insurance agents about this too. And insane to me how hard it is to get everybody on the same page. So the insurance company says, yes, we'll insure your property. It's going to cost, for easy math, $1,000 a year. No, $1,200 a year.
Thank
That's
you.
even easier math.
Much easier
So,
math.
Yes. And whatever the borrower is picking the coverage limits. And this is a good place to talk about the deal you and I just did where the purchase price of the property is $270,000 and the insurance policy came back at $375,000 for property insurance.
Yeah. So there's
What?
a reason for that too.
Yeah, of course there is.
So typically what the lender requires, they require a declaration page, right? Proof of coverage, what is being covered, how much coverage there is, what the annual premium is, right? And then invoice, because we have to pay it, make sure it's paid. So
Yes.
usually we get all that. A lot of lenders have been requesting proof of replacement coverage, either listed on the policy or an RCE, which is a replacement cost estimator.
That's my initials. That's what that is. That's
Yeah,
a Rachel
so
Christine Evers.
It's a replacement cost estimator saying if the house burns, to make sure there's enough coverage to rebuild it, because and those are being requested more recently and that's lender specific, because frankly, it costs a lot more. It would cost so much more to build my house than what my mortgage is, right? So my current coverage is not enough to rebuild my house if it burns down based on the cost of materials and labor now.
No, but it's worth stopping right there, because the flag that gets planted when you buy a house, like when I bought my house, it was $196,000. So that's
how much is it worth now?
Right around 400,000.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. When I bought my house, I got issued my policy based on the purchase price, and those tend to fluctuate over time. So
the value of your home?
Yes. But that doesn't mean that my insurance policy was commensurate with that. So if my insurance policy was insuring me up to $196,000 for 5 years because nobody looked at it, maybe it has a baked in coverage increase that has to do with tied to inflation. I don't know. We should bring on an insurance professional someday to explain these things, which I find talking to those guys is like talking to the Riddler. There's no straight answers ever. It's so annoying.
Well, it depends.
I know. Sounds familiar. I know.
Yeah. Well, so my biggest gripe, if I can go into it, like
$1,200.
My biggest gripe from insurance agencies, right? Okay, so I'm going to just do this loop and I'll try to be really clear. There's a document that goes out that's called a closing disclosure. Legally, it must go out 3 days before you can close, right?
Yes. And can we inject some actual fake dates? Like to really?
No, because I think the numbers confuse people. I'm already giving them dates. So the closing disclosure has to go out and be signed by the borrower 3 days before closing.
Correct.
I must have the insurance policy in order to send the closing disclosure. If I go to the insurance agent and say, hey, I need the policy, they'll say, what day are you closing? And I'll go, I don't know. When can you get me that piece of paper? Because I need that piece of paper to send this, and then I can close 3 days after. My biggest gripe is that insurance companies or the agents, I don't know if it's the companies, because whatever.
I think it's the agent.
They're wired
I'll talk about that later,
only
one
but
way.
This is what the problem is. Insurance agents are the ones I talk to, and they go, I can't change the date of that policy, so you better be 100% positive that on that closing day. And I go, I am insanely flexible. The buyers are flexible. The sellers are flexible. The lender will close early. The title company will get us in when we need to.
Everybody
You're telling
will do
me,
it.
Mr. Insurance Agent, you can't fucking change a day one way. So say I am closing the 15th and we're clear to close, right?
Told you we
Randomly
needed
the 15th.
dates.
And we're all done. We're all set. But now I need it to close the 7th because everybody's happy and they all want to close 8 days early. Yeah. The insurance company, I'll go, hey, Mr. Insurance Man, I need insurance dated for the 7th because they want to close on the 7th.
Yes.
And I can't close that day. I cannot change that. I can't change that date. You're asking for an impossible item.
And let me have a role.
Insanity.
Let me have a role in the conversation. because the buyer could call up literally any other insurance company and be like, hey, I need a policy that's effective the 7th. And they'll fucking issue it, no problem. But the guy who already has the deal, who already has the business and has already done the work, can't either cancel that policy and reissue the same fucking policy to start a different day because that's too much work.
That's the
Maybe
argument.
they get charged back on their commissions.
I'm going to have, just so you know, if you need me to change this date, I'm going to have to cancel the policy and start over. And I go,
oh no. Poor you. Like I haven't canceled 3 contracts to get to this property under contract through inspection, through appraisal, and to the point of closing. How dare you? How dare we request you cancel that policy?
Yeah.
You haven't run numbers for that borrower for months.
40 times on 40 different houses.
With different scenarios.
Yeah,
I want to do 12% down.
Pay stubs, written verification of employment, as if I haven't been insanely flexible. The inflexibility of some insurance agencies drives me to absolute madness. I'm at the point where I've basically given up. And
just lie to them and give them the earliest date. Because here's the other thing. If the policy is effective the 7th and then you don't close till the 14th, they're bent out of shape about the, 40 cents a day it's going to cost the buyer.
So I just had an agent
what the fuck?
2 days ago call and go, what day are you closing? The borrower said the 28th. And I said, no, I need it for the 21st. Well, he said the 28th. And I said, I understand what he said. I want it for the 21st. Give it to me effective the 21st. Actually, I asked her for it on the 18th, but she couldn't provide it to me before the 3 days. So my CD couldn't go. We couldn't close the 18th because she sent it to me a day late because whatever. So we're closing Monday and funding Tuesday anyway because of the holiday. But because she was late getting me the closing disclosure, we couldn't close the 18th. So now we have to close the 21st, even though the borrower said the 28th. And she's like, well, he's going to be paying an extra per day if you don't close on this day. And I'm like,
I'm going to do the math.
I know. I'll pay his $5.16.
$3.29 a day times how many days did that work out to? 28th minus 7 days?
It ends up being 7 days. Yeah. 100.
So over $23.
$20. We're gonna. I usually tell the realtor I'll cover the $25. If the borrower has a huge deal with it, I'll pay him $25 out of my own pocket. I don't.
And in the grand scheme of things, you guys, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars and hundreds of man hours to get to this point, and we're at the finish line. And it's like, what is an analogy? If you're running a relay race and you get almost to the end, and someone says, "What?" I don't know.
It's like you get tripped or somebody pushes you and you're just like,
but it's something right there. It's even dumber than that.
It's an unavoidable something. And so if your loan officer says, hey, have the insurance effective for this day, just do it for that day. And there's a reason we're going to do it a little earlier. It's because the homeowners agents are insanely inflexible. And if you ever want to close early, right?
You're fucked. You're not fucked, but you just you either have to find different insurance or have that fight, arm wrestling for no reason.
For no reason. And it is absolutely stressful.
So a lot of professionals listen to this show, and I would invite an insurance agent to explain. I've attempted to have this conversation with. Actually, very recently, I was at a local networking event and I was sitting next to a personal lines insurance agent. And he found out I was in real estate because I mention it every 30 seconds or so whenever possible, especially in public. Anyway, he found out I was in real estate and immediately started bitching about lenders and how they're so fucking I was like, yeah, but what I don't understand why it's so hard to change a date because we can't set a date until we have your stuff. And just so you guys know, it's a circle. So Cassandra can't send out her CD until she has this insurance binder. The insurance or the closing can't happen for 3 days after the CD is acknowledged. The 3 days is defined by the lender and can vary whether or not their hours are operational on Sunday. Like it gets really far in the weeds. And
And
then
is there a holiday?
is there a holiday? Do Saturdays count? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. And then I find out from the lender that we are clear to close, which means all of this shit is in order. So now guess what? We get to coordinate the buyer, the seller, 2 title companies, and the agents, depending on who actually has to and or chooses to be present at the closing.
Can I tell you
It may not all be on the guest up day.
Can I also tell you, like, how many people are on vacation lately? And I think it's from COVID. And thank God people are not absolutely sticking to these regimented spring break or the school mandated vacations, you know? So, okay, great. The contract says you have to close between the 4th and the 10th of the month. Well, guess who's on vacation? But we're ready to close early. So everybody now wants to close on the 3rd. Well, the insurance isn't effective until the 4th, which means we can't actually close on the 3rd unless the insurance gets changed, which the agent might lose their fucking mind on because they have to change a day.
I know.
I mean,
it's just, the weirdest thing is
village, but
it's the weirdest thing is if I have, let's say I have Farmers Insurance and I am going to close and they're the ones being difficult. They won't move the day by 1 day. I can call a different Farmers Insurance agent, like less than a mile up the road.
AAA.
They're like Edward Jones's. No, you could call AAA. My point is you can call the same company, just a different agent at the same company, and they will perform for you. It's the inflexibility is strange.
It's mad.
Apparently this is just a rant about insurance agents episode. Well, we don't mean that. We love you guys.
No, we do. I just don't think that the borrowers know. I try to shield borrowers whenever possible from the insane annoyance of homeowners insurance.
You know why?
I don't want them as the middleman giving the mortgagee clause and giving the loan number and getting me a deck page that's incorrect and getting me an invoice. Don't pay your insurance, by the way, people.
They're already up to their eyeballs in all of the stressful things.
Yeah. So as a buyer, you don't know this is going on. And I'm like livid in the background. Like, I'm just working on insurance. But I did mention, don't pay your insurance. There's a reason I don't want people to pay their insurance. So as a lender, I want your invoice for your homeowner's insurance. I want the full premium for the first year. And I want that at closing. So I want that invoice so that the title company can pay that invoice at closing, because the title company pays that. Because if the borrower decides to pay it, guess what I have to see come out of the borrower's account?
You have to see the bank statement showing that payment cleared.
Yes. I have to source anything that was paid outside of closing. There's a few exceptions if the borrower has ass loads of money and plenty of money that they could pay for it. But generally speaking, I have to see that come out of their bank statement, which is more papers.
Because it has to show up on the settlement statement, even if it's already paid, because it's associated with the closing.
Other column, because it's a required item, right? It has to go with the paid outside of closing column on the CD. So if you don't pay it, this is what I tell people. Same thing with stuff that might need to be paid off. Say you have a credit card that has to be paid off in order for you to qualify. Don't pay it. Please don't pay it. Just give me all of the invoices and I'll make sure title pays them all at closing, because all of that money at closing is sourced already from your bank account. So if you start paying stuff before, like your homeowner's insurance, or you pay off an Amex card or something else, it causes this paper trail of spiral of death where you're like going to try to find me and kill me for all the papers I'm going to request. And it's a pain for me too. It's a pain for the underwriter. It's just extra stuff because you thought you were being helpful.
It is so I was Googling synonyms and I can't find the word that I'm looking for, but it's a sticky, invisible web on the back end. That's not the words I was looking for, but it does the job. Also,
People
you're
are trying to be helpful.
Oh. Are you blurry on your screen?
Probably, because I have everybody off of the internet. I am blurry on my screen. I have kicked everybody off the internet. but it's a snow day, which means the entire neighborhood is on the internet. And I was fearful that I'd be a little blurry today. It's
That's
okay.
okay.
Look I have no wrinkles.
No,
I'm a
you
little
have
pixelated
something
today.
else going on, pixelated.
Yeah.
That's all right. I just figured it was worth acknowledging on the off chance that somebody's watching.
Yeah.
Cassandra's just rendering a little pixelated today. There, you're clearing
Sorry.
up. This is a peek into metaverse, right? These are issues that we're going to have to field in the future with our new
Someone
identities.
is. I don't know that I will.
that.
Can I be
I don't know.
myself in the metaverse?
Yes, and with the speed at which technology evolves, you probably will see it. You just won't love it because it won't be native to you.
Okay.
Okay, so I have this theory that we are creating this metaverse and it's literally nothing new under the sun. We are creating as not as though, but in the same manner in which we were created. And this is literally just the fucking cycle of life at a grander scale. We think it's this new fucking thing, but how did we get here? Probably the same way we're getting there. It's the same
like a
fucking
mirror.
Circle.
When you hold a mirror up to a mirror and you see
Similar.
infinite versions of yourselves or whatever,
There's
you know what I'm talking about?
That's a touchstone for a similar concept, but not quite.
So
for
close,
the other show.
but not
It's
touchstone, Cassandra. No.
Well, no, I'm not saying no. I'm just saying like that's only like it's a piece of the. It's like eating a piece of a sandwich. It's not the whole sandwich. Yes, it's an ingredient.
Crust,
you can
or is it
taste the
good
lettuce.
center part with the
What kind of
mayonnaise in it?
sandwich? Is it a tuna sandwich or
Definitely
is it
no turkey.
burger? Turkey.
Smoked turkey.
Turkey club. All right. Insurance is the lettuce on the turkey club of your closing. I'm trying to bring it home. It's not going very well.
I cannot wait. That should be the clip. That right there needs to be the teaser clip. And that insurance is the lettuce on your turkey sandwich of closing.
That sounds lovely.
Anyway, so that's it. We can wrap that up. You have to have insurance. No, I don't pick it. You have to pick it. Let me talk to your agent to get the documents. And dear God, if I start it early or request that it starts early, or your loan officer requests it starts early, just take a deep breath and know that it's not because we don't want to. It's because your agent's being a bit inflexible for unknown reasons, because no insurance agent can properly tell us why a date cannot ever change once a policy is issued. But Rachel has something to say.
I do, because this is an insurance episode and I'm not trying to make it overly long, but maybe we should retitle it the Homeowners Insurance episode, because what we didn't talk about is mortgage insurance. And is that worth injecting at the tail end here really quick?
Sure. We could do mortgage insurance and flood insurance.
We're at 27 minutes, so I feel like we can just bop those in. There is some value there in case we never talk about this stupid, boring, hateful topic again.
All right. So
I've never heard a happy insurance story. No. Like, oh, I called, put in a claim. They cut me a check for the value of my damaged item. It's all shirking responsibility.
My agent's amazing. I literally called. He was out the next day and goes, okay, tell your guys, send me a quote. I'll mail you a check. It was done within a week. It was amazing.
I want to talk to your insurance guy, and we need to ask him this question.
He's awesome. Well, he's a claims adjuster, so.
Oh, that's okay. Anyway, what's mortgage insurance, Cassandra? Really quick.
Mortgage insurance is insurance that the borrower is forced to pay. It does not insure the home. It does not insure the borrower in any way. It insures the lender against the borrower's own default of the mortgage. It is you saying, I promise to pay you, and I'll buy you an insurance policy in case I don't pay you.
Yes, and I will pay for that insurance policy. And why would I need to have that? And are there rules around which I need it? And more importantly, are they actual rules or are they wants? Like, is there a federal guideline saying if you're not putting this much down, you must get mortgage insurance? So, this is colloquially known as PMI or MIP, right?
Yes. Yep.
Which MIP is also minor in possession. That always trips me up in the head. But
mortgage insurance premium.
Yeah,
so
that's the amount you pay.
The VA does not require mortgage insurance if you are getting a VA loan. Rural development requires it for the life of the loan.
And as the value that you're borrowing, which is 100% of the value of the property, always with a rural development loan, correct?
101%. But anyway, that's the maximum. Some people do less. But so VA doesn't require PMI or MIP. Rural development does require it forever. FHA does require it forever. And Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac conventional loans do require it if you bring less than 20% down.
And
And
let
there's
me,
the whole myth of that. I think it actually allows for its own episode if you
I think
want.
that,
But
I think I do. But hold on, before I lose this thought, when she says forever, it means it's on that particular mortgage for the life of that mortgage,
Yes.
unless or until you refinance, cash out, pay that mortgage off, and then you can
Yeah.
recast your mortgage for a different amount, different loan to value. You will not have that mortgage insurance.
Yes.
But there are mortgages where it falls off automatically after so
Yes.
many years.
Yep.
Okay.
It's not years. I
Oh,
mean, you could say
payments.
it's years, but it's not a set amount of years. So Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac require it to be on. It will automatically, naturally fall off when you have 78%, when you own 22% of your home's value. And it has
that
to
math-
be the value at closing,
There
not
it
your
is.
current value. So it's the value that you had at closing. You can request it come off sooner if you make extra payments, your home value has gone up, things like that.
And you can prove it.
Right. And you can prove it. There are lenders where you can make 3 payments of PMI. You can literally, I do a lot of this recast where you basically put 5% down to get into the house, make 3 payments, and then you recast, make a giant payment to get down to 20% ownership, and then request your PMI be removed. But that's like literally the only cheat that I know how to screw a lender on, I suppose.
And I wouldn't even say screwing a lender, like language is really important, right? It's literally, we didn't make
that's
the
why I
rules.
paused.
Yep. We didn't make the rules, but there are ways that you can have the benefits of both scenarios. You can have so your interest rate is lower.
I don't
interest
want to
rate
get
is
into
high.
that.
I know.
We're just talking about
I know.
insurance. That is a
And we're
different
not getting
topic.
into it, but just as a blanket statement, your interest rate is generally higher if you put 20% or more down, but that's where your mortgage insurance disappears. What Cassandra is talking about is a hack where you put less down, take the mortgage insurance premium hit for 3 months, and then recast your loan, keep your lower rate, and drop the mortgage insurance. It's a strategy. She can talk you and your personal scenario through it.
Yeah.
And
It's
what's
a
our
really
other
good hack.
insurance? Talk to me about flood insurance.
The other insurance would be flood insurance. It's really uncommon in Michigan. However, I do have a non-occupying co-borrower who lives in Louisiana on a file right now. He does not have homeowners insurance because they will not insure him.
I have a
Because
friend
he
who
has
has a
been
house who she can't insure.
he has been hit with 2 hurricanes. However, he does have flood insurance, which I will say the property taxes in Louisiana are dirt cheap, but that flood insurance is about $450 a month.
Wow.
It's no joke.
Is that
So-
so? I got to. I have something to say about flood insurance. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Because
No, I was
400
just going to say flood insurance is really costly depending on the structure and the location, and I think the risk of where it is. And I do believe that we're going to have that come more into our field of play with what we're doing out there to the environment and the water levels and stuff like that.
I agree.
But
I totally agree. And I will tell you, so the flood insurance is determined by FEMA flood zone maps, and they change
Online.
slowly, and they change slowly over time. And you can literally you may not have flood insurance today. And this is not likely. It was super radical, but you can be redrafted into a flood zone, and you sign a document at closing that says that you can be force placed flood insurance if that happens. What I was going to say is a small story of a client who was selling a property that was determined to be in a floodplain. And she I'm conflating 2 stories actually. Nope, it's the same client. She didn't know she was in a floodplain until she was selling the property. So she was force placed flood insurance. Her mortgage company never caught it either. She went and bought flood insurance. If you buy flood insurance on the secondary market, I don't want to misinform, but check, I think you can buy it directly from the government or from your insurance agent, and one of them is significantly cheaper, and I can't remember which. Secondarily, you can have your property resurveyed or provide proofs of do it yourself if you are deemed in a floodplain, but your house itself is not. Like, you may be sitting on a half-acre parcel on a river, And if there's a hill down to the river and the house is up on the hill, depending on math and whatever surveyors do, your house may be outside the floodplain, even though your property is in the floodplain. There are ways around that anyway.
Yeah.
I'm using
I had
lots
one
of
where the
words to
guy's
say
back
very little.
corner of his acreage was in a floodplain, but the house was clearly not. It was, on a hill. So he did not have to get flood insurance. So there's some workarounds. We do try to look through all of those for people because, flood insurance, if you're not in a flood zone, just as a side note, is really cheap. So if you're kind of in a murky area, like I can think of a place near my township a couple miles away. It's on a lake, right? That lake has flooded. I can't tell you how many times. We have a multi-million-dollar pumping effort to lower the levels of that lake. People are still buying houses on this lake for $1 million, which boggles my mind because the basements are full of water. It's still not a designated floodplain. Really good time to buy some flood insurance on your house. Really
because
good.
It's cheap right now.
Dirt cheap. Yeah.
It's not good. Well, so what about your $450 a month guy? That's not cheap.
No, that's not cheap. His is so much because the house has basically already been rebuilt twice due to hurricanes. And I won't even go into the fact that we should be following Canada's lead. You get 2 payouts in the same location. How about we stop issuing, like Canada says you can't build there anymore. Like we're not going to pay out in
the
Florida.
Earth said no.
10 times. The Earth says you can't build here, and we're going to stop insuring it. We're going to stop paying out billions of dollars. Should we have any homes in Florida? Probably not.
Hey, hold on.
Probably not. But
Michigan is just as much of a swamp as Florida.
Well, I think we're
just
less
chillier.
swampy.
I'm not a hydrogeologist, but for insurance purposes.
Rachel, should asphalt roofs be allowed in Michigan, or should we all be required to have metal roofs with the wind and the weight? And the number of trees.
I am not doing this. I'm not. I am actively disengaging.
Anyway.
Only because we just had a township meeting about an asphalt plant in my community, and it was bananas. And I sat in the audience, and I can clearly see both sides of this argument. People are just heated and passionate. And this is such a rabbit trail. I'm watching people. It's a NIMBY problem. I bet you 80% of the people in that room who were opposed to the asphalt plant have asphalt driveways.
Right.
I'm sure of it. I have this belief that if you want it, you have to make it in your community. If you want steaks, you have to grow the cows in your community. If you want a paved driveway, you have to have an asphalt. If you want to generate waste, you have to have a dump. And it should be by township, so nobody can be NIMBYing and taking all the benefits and putting all of the results on some other area. But that's just my thoughts, not yours.
No, it's good. It makes sense. Well, as a taxpayer, I struggle with like, how many times are they going to rebuild? Like this area has been decimated 3 times in the last 15 years or something like that. Right. Yeah. Consistently. And yet here we go. We pay out again. Like at what point I don't know. Anyway.
The Earth says no, not here, not anymore, whatever. Yeah. I don't know. It's a fun game, this whole being alive thing. So I can't wait to talk to you in like 6 minutes for our next topic, which I don't even remember. What are we talking about next?
I will surprise you in a couple minutes. Thank you for joining us on the insurance episode.
Oh man, I can't wait to find out what's next. Bye.
Bye.
The info given is current as of this recording, but remember, the market changes and real estate is hyper local.